We're here at the track in Cornwall, the sun's shining, we've got amazing jumps in the background. You might love getting airtime on your e-bike, but you might not know how to add some style to that. So I've brought in special guest Steve Geall, Style Meister. We're going to show you how to get stylish out on the trails. So you might be wondering why we're on e-bikes at the bike park. Basically, this place is all gravity fed, so all the runs are downhill. So it means a push back up or a ride up. These things, we're just going to be smashing runs in up and down. So more time on your bike, you can become a better rider. Also, the stability of these things in the air, really good. So no reason not to ride an e-bike. It's really important when you turn up at the bike park just to find a real progressive zone. If you look here, we've got small tables, medium tables, larger tables, all the way to some huge doubles. Obviously start off on the small stuff and work your way up as you get more confident. So this is a typical tabletop jump that you find at most bike parks and even trail centres. It's about a bike length long, so ideal for trying to add a bit more style to your riding. So the straight air, or the dead sailor as you like to call it in mountain biking, is actually really unsafe. It just means you've tensed up, you're not prepared for the jump, you're actually thinking, oh my God, you know, you've got the front end up, and you're probably going to crash or case the jump. It's probably a familiar feeling. So all we need to do is just approach that jump a bit more looser. Just relax, let the jump do the work, and just add a little bit more style into it. So when you're in the midpoint of that jump and you're beginning to turn those bars, just work out which way is more comfortable, either to the left or the right. It's really important with this to not be jolting those bars fast or turning with your hips whilst you do it. If you do that, the bike's going to move sideways, it's going to feel really sort of out of shape. So just relax, just stay smooth with those bars. Once you return into landing, obviously make sure you've got those bars nice and straight, look for your landing and land smoothly and ride away with added style. So once you've worked your way up, tweaking those bars, it's time to hit some bigger jumps. That way you can get more air time, more chance to tweak those bars to max style points. Whips are the most stylish thing you can do on a bike. Going sideways through the air, flicking that back end out, holding it out there for max style points, turning that front wheel backwards. It's come from motocross. It's probably one of the most impressive tricks you can do on a bike, right, Steve?
Oh, for sure, man. Yeah, I mean, on these smaller jumps, so you've got to always spot your landing. So if you're sideways and you're coming in and you're not knowing where you are, you're going to high side yourself or not get it straight. So always keep an eye on where you're landing, look at the landing, get it straight, off you pop.
So how do you do a whip? Basically, you'd need to find a nice medium-sized jump. If you're trying to do it on a small jump, you're probably going to struggle. What we do is we approach a jump, nice speed, and we carve out the takeoff. When I say carve, it means a slight turn out the takeoff. You find you either want to turn to the left or to the right, so just make sure you know which way you're going to go. Turning with your hips and dropping the shoulder as well, flicking the hips out, turning into it. You'll feel that bike goes kind of heavy and whipped out sideways. You're going to know the point that there's no return on that whip. When you feel that, drop your shoulder back in, turn the handlebars, land nice and straight for max style points. So Steve, give us some pointers for a max style whip.
I suppose the main things, don't just snap off the lip, because it will just go sideways, and especially on an e-bike because of the heavier weight, it will just stay sideways and you'll land sideways and there's no style points in that. No. So just keep it all fluid and like smooth off the lip. You'll know when it comes round and just turn it smooth and fluid back in, roll away nicely.
Nice. Anything else, Steve, you want to add to that?
Yeah, I mean, on the e-bikes, because of the bigger weight, a bigger jump would be better. I mean, on a smaller jump with a normal bike, you can whip it around fairly easy because it's so light. On a bigger, heavier e-bike, you have to find really a bigger jump to get it nice and whipped out on. Yeah. It just feels a lot safer.
Yeah, definitely. Some good points there from Steve. So the tabletop, it's a classic BMX move. The idea is to lay that bike as flat as possible in the air, just like a tabletop at home. But I'm not going to talk anything more about this because we've got someone real special. He's laid more tables than the main waiter at the Ritz. Over to you, Steve.
Right, there's a few ways of doing tables. Chris does them slightly different to me. I'm pretty much traditional style, which is proper flat, bars turn 90 degrees. Chris seems to do them with the bars straight, bars down, flick it up that way. So it's still a table, but not your traditional table, how they should be done. With that way, you grip the bike with your legs, and in the same movement as turning the bars, you sort of pinch the bike and twist your hips and legs up into the way you're turning the bars. So as the bike comes flat, you're turning the bars at the same time. Once it is at that midpoint, you should have it pretty flat. You'll know that because you'll feel the sort of your middle of your body go fairly tight. And at that point, just spring back and it will naturally come back and find like a straight position. You may have carved a little bit off the lip to get that way, but you will find like with an e-bike, because it's got a heavier weight, it will spring back like pretty easier than a normal bike. Yeah, just land, roll away. The main difference between a normal bike and an e-bike is obviously the weight. Like everyone knows, they're pretty heavy. But on the table, on a normal bike, it tends to flick up really easy. So you'll see guys popping some big tables on the normal bikes. But again, on the e-bike, when you've got a bigger jump, you'll be able to get it as flat, if not better again, because of the weight. It's a bit more sort of moto bike, sort of motocross-like. So yeah, once it gets the weight going, it will go to, you know, a decent whip and flat. So yeah, just spring it back again. It'll come back on the bigger jump pretty easy. Just roll away again.
So when it comes to laying tables, Steve, it's probably easier to do on a hip, right?
Yeah, it's definitely easier on a hip, but first just learn to do the hip and get confident with that first. Then you can start chucking it. You will find that it will go flatter on a hip just because it's a natural. Yeah. You're turning that way anyway, so the bike's naturally going flat pretty much to the hip. So yeah, and you know when you got a good one because your feet will be sort of sideways on the cranks. So when you do it, because it's more natural for your feet to sit like that in that position.
Yeah.
But yeah,
you feel that bike flying through the air sideways, right?
Yeah, you know you got a good one then.
Nice. So the main thing to remember from the bike park is progression. Just take it easy, take those little baby steps to get in there. Think you're trying to send the biggest whip or the flattest table, otherwise you're going to crash. Just build up slowly, build confidence, and you get there, you hit the trails with more style. So that's it. I hope you've enjoyed today's video. If you want to see more on how to get more out of your e-bike out the bike park, click here. Drop us some comments below, give us a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe to eMBN.